All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2025 NCAA Division II Football Championship Virtual Kickoff Press Conference. My name is Neil Horn, and on behalf of the Lone Star Conference and McKinney ISD, I'd like to welcome you and offer congratulations to both of our national finalists for their success in advancing to this year's national championship game. This year is the 52nd year for the Division II football championship game, and we're excited for the national title game to once again return to McKinney, Texas. This will be the seventh time this venue has hosted the national championship. This year's game will be this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock local time, Central Time, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, and the game again will be broadcast on ESPN2. Well, this 2025 national title matchup is shaping up to be a great one. We got number one against number two, a pair of 15-0 undefeated teams in Ferris State and Harding. And of course, both of these schools are very familiar with this game in McKinney, Texas. As a matter of fact, they're the last two champs that were crowned here in McKinney. Ferris State, of course, the defending national champ, winning in 2024. Harding winning the national championship the prior year in 2023. Ferris State is making their fifth appearance in the national title game, having won it three times, both last year and in consecutive years in 2021 and in 2022. They were also the runner-ups in 2018. That was the first year the national championship was played here in McKinney. Harding is making their second appearance in the national title game. Again, they won in 2023. Our first national finalist, which will be the home team on Saturday, is Ferris State. They're represented today by someone we're pretty familiar with, head coach Tony Annese, now, of course, in his 13th season at Ferris State. They're the number one seed from Super Region 3. The Bulldogs going 7-0 in conference to win the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. That was their seventh league title in the last 11 years. This is also their 11th straight trip to the NCAA playoffs. First State advanced to the championship game with home wins over Northwood, Ashland, Minnesota State, and Newberry. They scored at least 49 points in each game. Not a surprise since the Bulldogs lead the nation in scoring and also in total offense, and coming in on a 29-game winning streak. So a lot of great stats coming in for Ferris State. Well, Coach Annese, another great year. Congratulations to you, your student athletes and staff. Again, you like to make your winter home here in North Texas, so it's great to see you again. Would you please make a few comments about your team and your thoughts on facing Harding on Saturday?
Yeah, thank you, Neil. Very excited about going back to McKinney. Obviously, every team in Division Two, sets out as that being, the most significant goal you have is trying to get in that national championship game. So we feel great about the opportunity to get down there again. We've always felt blessed to be there, and you guys being such great hosts, it's just been such a special thing. And I think it becomes a driving force, where, if you've experienced before, like our guys have, being down there five times and the seven times it's been in McKinney, it becomes like I talked to the kids the other day about you just don't say it, you feel it, right? And you can visualize it. And so, our guys just are so excited to be able to get back down there, and it's been such an unbelievable opportunity to be down there, period, just to have a chance to play another football game. This has been a great year, probably one of my best ever, because after winning it last year, there's a portrait in our hallway, national championship portraits. And as I walk by that, I see our guys celebrating with a trophy last year. And four of the faces were all supposed to return, and they ended up going somewhere else, got in the portal and left. So we lost eight guys to the portal to FBS schools. And so last spring, I'm like, can we even be good? And then here we go again with the guys just being so determined and so connected with each other. And I've said it to you guys before, but the catalyst of our greatness is love, and they just love each other and want to fight for each other and play for each other. And here we are going back to McKinney.
All right. Well, it's always great to have you here, Coach. And again, I think we heard that from you before a couple of times when you didn't expect to be this good. So here we are, just greatness shines through. By the time, at this time, we'll take questions from the media. So here's the process. Please use the raise hand function, and we'll get to as many questions as we can in the time allotted. And we'll recognize you and take you off mute at that time, or take yourself off mute. I don't know if Greg does that or not. So while we wait for the first question, Coach, I was kind of kidding you uh, a moment ago about you said last week's semifinal game that one of the coldest games or the coldest game you'd ever coached in, and this week we're looking for mid 70s in McKinney on Saturday. That's going to be quite a change, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it got as low as -9, so somewhere in an 80 some degree transformation here between what we had last week and what we get this week. So pretty wild.
All right. We do now have a couple of questions now. Let's go ahead and recognize Tony Paul and let you address Coach Anise. Tony?
Hey Tony, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Tony?
Very good.
Good.
Appreciate your time today. You touched on it, and it's been a topic for much of the year. The eight players you lost to the transfer portal. I'm just kind of curious when those decisions are made, or when they were made last off season. What's your reaction? Is it from you? Is it a sense of immediate reaction? Is it a sense of pride? Are you pissed off, or is it a little bit of both?
Probably the first emotion is a little heartbroken. Just because, they're my guys, like, just use Trinidad as example, who's had a great year. He's my guy, still my guy, you know, um, family super, his mom came last week to our game because Trin didn't have a game, and she was looking forward to going to McKinney, and then she's like, "Oh, dang, Trin's got a game at the same time, and I said, "Well, just come to our game, but yeah, I mean, being down in McKinney last year for Trinidad Chambliss, and I can speak for the others as well, it's one of the greatest feelings ever. And I always just tell our guys that life is about moments in time. And so it was one of the greatest moments in time that Trinidad will experience or any of the other guys will experience. So it's a little bit heartbreaking, but then once you get over it, I've been proud of Trinidad and very happy for him and Sefa. Sefa's our Mike linebacker who's, helped lead Western Michigan to a MAC championship. And, there's others, but I'll just leave it at those two right now. But proud of them all. Proud of them all.
Thank you.
All right. Let's now recognize Courtney Mims, who has a question for you, Coach. Courtney?
Yeah, hey coach. I hope you're doing well. Congratulations on being back in the title game. I'm curious, we're here from Arkansas. So what kind of challenges does Harding present for you guys this upcoming Saturday? We know they like to run the ball a lot. How do you plan on stopping that effective rushing attack?
Yeah, I'd rather play Notre Dame than Harding. So just so you know right now. So it's obviously challenging. We've played them 3 times. You got to be just so sharp in every aspect of the game. Got to be so disciplined on defense. The hope of stopping them really doesn't exist. It's just you try to slow them down. You try to minimize big plays. But they're incredible on offense, and then defense, they're just the number one defense in the nation. So it's just everything to do with the challenges they face. Coach Simmons said, what travels is running the ball and stopping the run, and so they've been able to do that. They're the best at it in the nation, and so we've had this challenge before. We played them in 17, we played them in 18. We played them last year, and they've all been in Big Rapids, which is funny. So it's the first time we'll play them outside of Big Rapids, but they've done an unbelievable job, like super, super job, and their kids are gritty and just we have a lot of respect for them and yeah, but it is stressful, Courtney. It is what it is, like I hate to be rude, and Coach Simmons will laugh at me, but but I've been rooting against them this whole playoff run. It's like, can somebody knock off Harding so we don't have to play them if that's the way it is? It's just that's how big of a challenge they are.
And one more question for me, and I'll pass it over to the next question asker. But you guys, I mean, talk about the success that you guys have had. You're no stranger to the title game. What does it mean to be back there for this team, for this group of guys, with all the adversity you guys have faced? And you talk about the players that left the program, but what has gotten you that success once again this year?
Yeah, I just think belief. It's the same things. When I hear Coach Simmons talk, I'm hearing, me talk too. He talks about love. He talks about brotherhood. He talks about, just connectivity. That's who we are. And we've got a bunch of kids from Michigan who, have just, bonded together. I mean, our number 22, Brady Rose. Everybody talks about him, but he just basically, in a nutshell, just describes who our team is, and so yeah, losing the guys we lost, five on offense alone, and then having the juggling act of who's playing where, and we lost our starting running back Zach Ahern and in the Michigan Tech game, and we lost our backup Cooper. Near the same time, and then Deion Small. So our top three running backs got hurt too. So then everybody's like, "Who's your running back?" I'm like, "I don't know," And a guy like Carson Gulker, people ask him, what do you play? And he goes, "I just play football," because he plays quarterback, he plays running back, he plays H back, he plays tight end. He's just all over the field, and so that's kind of how we built our system after not by choice, but out of necessity because we were kind of running low on running backs.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tony. You just coach football. He just plays football, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Our next question comes from Jake Boss. Jake, take it away.
How's it going, Coach?
Hey, Jake.
Just wondering if you could talk about Chase Carter and how important he's been here in these playoffs, especially, being a Florida kid playing the way he did in that negative degree weather.
Yeah, Chase is a super young man. Probably, one of our top two or three academic guys. A superstar SAT score and GPA, coming out of high school, coming out of Edgewater High School in Orlando, Florida. He was the Orlando Sentinel Athlete of the Year. Was a quarterback there at Edgewater High School, but also, top track athlete in the entire Orlando area. And so what a steal, right? To get a guy like that. And what a super young man, so loyal, so versatile. He can play slot for us. He can play quarterback for us. He can play running back for us. And that's how we've built it. And he's been able to plug in, and just play super football for us. So really proud of him. And it's just a blessing to have a young man on our team like Chase.
All right. Tony Paul has another question for you, Coach. Tony, take it away.
Yeah, I didn't see that my hand was still up, but sure. I'm gonna put something here. Sorry about that. Tony, what about when you took this job? I mean, I mean, if I'm just doing the math right, I mean, I remember, your rival was the Powerhouse program before you took this job. What realistically, what were I mean, you won everywhere that you've been, but what were your expectations? I mean, could you have envisioned a day like this where, you're going for a fourth national championship in 5 years?
No, I couldn't envision this, nor did I feel at the time that there was a lot of hope. I'll be honest with you. Like this job, and this was my sixth job that I took, but I mean, as a head coach, and this job was the one I was probably most negative about. In my mind, I'm like, okay, I mean, this is just maybe it. Maybe just fight for mediocrity. Everybody in this press conference is how you're going to compete with Grand Valley, and I'm like, I mean, I have no idea how we'll compete against a program like that. I mean, my mind was just to win the day, try to win every day, try to put a team together that's competitive, and it just happened. It just happened, and a lot positive to say about our players back then who willed us to victory, and winning helps a lot. So once you start winning a little bit, which we went undefeated in the regular season and in 14 and in 15, which was our third and fourth years, and then we went to the semis in 16, and so the program caught on fire, and now it just keeps on. Like I feel good about next year already. Looking at some of the guys we have back and our recruiting class, so it's grown. Belief is a powerful thing, and so we've been able to build our program based on our four core values: faith, order, love, and discipline, and faith was a big force back in 2012 because the only thing I had really to sell was myself, and have faith that we're going to be a competitive program and eventually be a powerhouse. And I said all those words when I first took the job, but did I believe it? Not necessarily. I'm pleased where we are today.
I just want to ask you really quick. I didn't get a chance to talk to you last week, but the tweet that you put out about to your letter to the recruits, I mean, how much fun is it to write a message like that? I mean, it's kind of a pretty big flex of, hey, we'll get back to you. We're a little busy winning right now.
Yeah, I think I did it like 3 years ago, maybe in 21. I don't know, but so that's the first time I did it, and then obviously we went back in 22, and then we went back in 24. So, yeah. So now I didn't even write it. My assistants are like, "Come on, you got to put something out like that." Kind of, I'm like, "All right, you guys write it. I'll post it." So, it is somewhat of a flex, but. It is also very true, like we don't have the resources to be out there recruiting at the level we would be otherwise. And so in the past, people would say, people that we're recruiting against would try to get kids to commit to them while we're in the playoffs. And, I mean, a good strategy by them. So I really have to, sell the fact that if you want to win and you want to be with the ultimate winning program right now in this state, we're the ultimate winning program.
All right, just a reminder, if you'd like to ask Coach any question, just raise your hand and we wait to see if we have any others. Coach, let me kind of piggyback a little bit on what Tony was talking about, the program and what you have too. And looking back on the history, I was looking back at that the other day. You've already mentioned Grand Valley State. They had a run. Some other teams have had some big runs through the years. Northwestern Missouri, I can think of, North Alabama, Valdosta, Pitt State, some of these others historical. You're in the middle of a run, but maybe at some point you'll be able to look back. What does this all mean to you in kind of a historical setting?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. When we won it last year, Trinidad was asked about dynasty, and he responded, "Yeah, Ferris State, we're a dynasty. If you want to come, play for national championships, come to Ferris State." And that's a quote. That's what he said, and it's like. I don't look at life that way, nor do I, I'm always in the moment. And so, looking back at what have we achieved is probably something for when this old guy retires. But for now, it's just like what our team did, in our approach in spring ball and then in the summer and this whole season. We didn't look back and say, hey, this is what we've done. We just, we're trying to do it again. So if you look back and start thinking about how great it was, then you may become complacent or miss something as you're approaching a season. And our guys, nothing we've achieved in the past, allows us to, feel full of ourselves or feel like we've been validated in any way. We're constantly striving to do the next thing. And so that's what I'm thinking about now is just to do the next thing. And then, years to come, I'll look back and say, boy, those Ferris State teams were special.
All right, we'll wait for another question. I'll go ahead and ask another one. I don't mind asking some for you. You've already touched a little bit on the unique challenge that Harding brings to that flex bone. They've set records in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. Very rarely, when you don't see that all yard, I mean, just how difficult and what do you do to even practice for that leading up to it?
So how about a contrast in games, right? We faced a team that's a throw first team. They threw, near 50 times last week. So to a team that, just wants to run it down your throat in conditions that were snowy and cold as cold could be to 75 degrees. So what a contrast from one week to the next. It's almost like surreal that it could even happen this way. But it's just it's wildly challenging to try to handle a quarterback that's unbelievable, a fullback that, can break off, a 80-yard run and a snap, and then, let alone those two slots with number 7 being the scariest player in all of Division II football and the J kid. And so, it's requires a ton of discipline. It requires great coaching, and it requires a level of concentration to make sure you do your job at the highest level all over the field. And so, our defensive coaches and defensive players, they got a lot of pressure on them. And then for us, offensively, that's a group that I work with. You can't slip up. You've got to make every play. Last year we got ahead of them, which was a huge factor in the game. And if you're ahead of them, then obviously it becomes more challenging for them because they don't want to be a quick strike offense. They want to take, 8 to 10 minutes off the clock and grind you.
Right. Well, again, a contrast in style and a contrast in weather coming up. You would think the weather you had last week was more conducive to the running, and this week the mid 70s of the passing is kind of vice versa there too, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And we're both option teams. Like, we're a hybrid, spread option team, and they're a, flex bone team. But I ran a flex bone for a lot of years, so I know how hard it is to defend. And yeah, that was back in the day when I was a high school coach. That was my my offensive choice as well. So
All right. Well, this last chance, guys. I don't see any more raised hands. Last chance to ask Coach Anise questions. So I think we're good. So, Tony, looking forward to seeing you here. Safe travels and
thank you.
coming out of the North Pole like Santa Claus, like you do every year. So we look forward to seeing you down in McKinney
Yeah,
again.
thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, that concludes the first part of our virtual kickoff press conference with Ferris State. We'll begin with Coach Simmons and Harding at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 10:30 Central Time. And if you want to stick around, there's no need to close your browser or leave this session. So again, Tony, congratulations again on another great season. Looking
Yeah,
forward to seeing you
appreciate it.
Saturday.
See you guys soon.
All right. Since you're ready, you ready? We may start a couple minutes early. I'm sure you've got some things to get taken care of today, don't you?
Oh, it's so chaotic. It's a blessing, but it's chaotic now.
It is. All right. Well, let's just push along. Most everybody just stayed on. We may have a few jump on a little later, but we'll just go ahead and get started now. All right. For those who've been with us, welcome back. For any new media who've jumped on and now present, welcome once again. We'll get right to the action with our second national finalist. That's Harding, represented today by head coach Paul Simmons. They're the number 1 seed out of Super Region 4. The Bison going 11-0 to win the Great American Conference. That's their 3rd straight GAC League title and 4th over the last 5 years. Harding made its way to Saturday's championship game with home wins over Northwest Missouri State, Pittsburgh State, and UT Permian Basin. Then a big road win last week against Kutztown. They're allowing just 23 points per game in the playoffs. That's actually up from what they've done on the season, as they do lead the nation in scoring defense, allowing just only 10.8 points per ball game. So again, a great defense there. Coach Simmons, again, I know you're an alum, been involved in Harding athletics for a long time. So congratulations to both you, your student athletes, and your staff. So again, a big game with Ferris coming up. Pair of undefeated teams. We've already just got through talking to Coach Anise. But would you please make a few comments about your team and your thoughts on facing Ferris State this Saturday in McKinney?
Yeah, hey, I'm excited to be on this morning. Really do appreciate it. There's no way that I could overstate how proud I am of our young men. The 15-0 is awesome, and we're proud of that. But what we're really proud of is the way these guys do everything. Their approach to work, their approach to the classroom. It's just a special bunch of guys that really do love one another and work really hard to do the things that we ask them to do. I really, this is the truth. I never coach attitude. I don't coach effort. I don't coach discipline. These guys just that's who they are, and so it makes our job really, really refreshing and such a joy to be with these guys. Um, Huge football game. Coach Anise does such a great job there. What he has built is really impressive. Um, and they do so many things well. I think they're maybe the best in the country at finding guys that are overlooked, and then they do a really great job of developing those guys. And so, a huge challenge for our guys, but one that we're certainly excited about. Ferris State and Harding is I guess this is the fourth chapter of this story. We played in 17, 18, and then again last year, and so we're very familiar with who these guys are and have great respect for all the things that they bring to the table.
All right. Thank you for those opening comments, Coach. Just a reminder now to our media present, this time we'll take questions. Please use the raise hand function and we'll get to as many questions as we can in the time allotted. So, Coach, while we wait for our first question to come up, just kind of bring up again quite a difference in styles we talked with Coach Anise about, again, with the flex bone you run and the multi-option that Ferris State runs. You're a defensive coach by nature. Tell me about how you get ready to face a multiple option attack while y'all running a flex bone. Is that a challenge to practice on defense when your team itself runs a flex bone?
Well, first of all, I want to clarify this. I get credit when you win. You get credit for a lot of things that you weren't responsible for. Okay, our defense has led the country this year in points allowed, and I mean they just play lights out. I'm so proud of them. But I'm telling you, as the years go by, my involvement with the defense has diminished to almost zero. So if when the defense goes out and plays lights out, I get a lot of credit for that, but I shouldn't. That's Coach Moat, the DC, Coach Tribble, who coaches the secondary and is fantastic. Coach Blankenship, who coaches the secondary as well, and then Coach Trayvon Bigelow coaches the D line, and those guys do an awesome job. So it's not me, I promise you. It's really interesting because both teams are definitely option teams, but the way we do it could not be any more different. It's the same principles as we're going to line up and take what the defense gives us just as they are. We're going to figure out if we can leave guys unblocked and block them by reading them, and they're the exact same way. I don't think that because we're a flex bone team, we have an advantage because we spend time defending ourselves in practice, because we don't. We spend zero time trying to defend our own version of the flex bone because we don't need to, because we never do see that. What's really similar about Ferris and Harding is how many different guys will touch the ball over the course of a game. The amount of guys that they have that are dynamic playmakers is impressive, and they just have so many different guys that can beat you on a given day. And I think that we're the same way. I mean, we have a lot of different guys that can beat you, and just depending on what the defense is going to give you. And so, the challenge for us on both sides of the ball is big. But we don't see anything like this over the course of a season from our defensive staff. And I'm not sure who the brains of the operation offensively is there at Ferris. I don't know if it's Coach Anise or one of his sons, but whoever, and I hope the nation is listening. Whoever is in charge of their offense, he needs to get out of there. He needs to be a Division I guy. They need to hire the whole staff and get them out of Ferris because they're hard to deal with.
All right. I think Coach Neese kind of said the same thing a while ago. He'd almost rather play Notre Dame than you guys in that flex zone. So I think the respect is mutual. All right, let's get to the media. Let them answer some questions. Courtney Mims, I think you got your hand raised first. Let's go with Courtney. Courtney?
Well, that's a great segue because I was going to ask Coach about that comment that Coach Anise said he'd rather play Notre Dame than you guys. I think the feeling is a bit mutual there with you as well, Coach Simmons. I know some of your players talked. We kind of felt like it was going to end with us going up against Ferris State in the championship game. You talked a little bit about some of the challenges they present, but especially on offense, what challenges do they present you guys? What do you need to be ready for this upcoming Saturday?
Well, the biggest challenge is they just make you defend every inch of the field. A lot of weeks we go into a game and our mentality is if we can take away your downhill run game, then we're going to have a massive advantage. But these guys they do a really good job running the ball downhill. They're an awesome inside zone team, but then their option game, their jet game, the way they run the ball laterally, and then they just do a tremendous job of as soon as you commit numbers to the perimeter run game, they're going to pull the ball down and throw the ball behind you, and their receivers are elite speed guys, and so. They just make you defend every inch of the field, and they're the best we've ever seen at doing that. We play teams sometimes that are, really have an elite collection of talent, and then sometimes we play teams where we say, well, these guys, they just scheme it up so well, and if they were more talented, they'd be a problem. And the reason why these guys are scoring 55 points a game is because they have both. They have really an elite collection of skill players. They have a great O-line. Then their coaches do the best job of anybody we see of taking advantage of whatever the defense gives you.
And then one more for me, and I'll turn it over to the other question askers here. You talk a lot about family and faith and those being pillars of this team. How have you seen this team kind of rally behind that this year, this entire season, but also in this moment here heading into the championship game?
Well, what's really crazy about our program is that as much as these young men have been able to win, we really never do talk about winning. On day one of fall camp, most times we're handing out conference championship rings. And then I'm saying, okay, man, well, we had a great year last year. So what is the goal? What is the goal? And, without fail, there's always a young guy that's not educated that says, oh, the goal is a national championship. And that's never the answer. Never the answer. The goal is never about winning. The goal is we want to do all the things that are in our power to have the very best culture in college football in America. And for us here at Harding, that begins and ends with trying to honor God. And we think that so many of the principles that lead to success on the field, accountability, toughness, discipline, loyalty, humility, self-sacrifice, gratefulness. All of those things are principles that we didn't create. That comes from Scripture. That comes from the great example of Christ. But they lead to success on the field. A lot of people will say, "Coach, are we going to have a program that honors God, or are we going to be about winning ball games?" And I'm like, both, both. It's not either or. The things that lead to winning are the same things that lead to living a really fulfilling life and being a fantastic father and husband and coming through. And you know, for years now, our guys have bought in and have embraced that. Maybe never more so than right now. I mean, this is the most selfless bunch of guys we've ever coached, and selfless is the term that's at the forefront of our whole team, but especially the offense, right? If you're a receiver here, that means you're going to be an elite blocker for 97% of the snaps, and you might touch the ball once. If you're the fullback here, Andrew Miller might go for 200 yards this week, and he might get 5 touches next week. And if it's about you, if it's about your stats, your honors, this is the wrong place for you. You're going to be miserable. It's got to be about team, family, us, brotherhood. And for these guys, they have bought into that on a very deep level. And that's what makes it so special to see them succeed when they embrace things that the world says is foolish, right? It's foolish to not take care of yourself. It's foolish to not seek your own status and honors. That's foolish. It's foolish to be loyal to a Division II school when you could go play at a Division I school and make money. And they've really embraced that, and that's why they're so special to me.
Thank you so much, Coach.
All right. Thanks, Courtney. Chris Hutchinson, you're up next.
Hey, Coach. One of the players I wanted to ask about, Andrew Miller, being a finalist for the Harlan Hill. One being a guy from Searcy, what has he meant to the program, and just how much has he grown off the field as much as he's grown on the field?
When we talk to our guys, I tell them, men, I want guys that leave a legacy. I want guys that are going to be remembered 30 years from now. And then I tell them, your legacy here will be based on one thing, only one thing. And it's not your stats, it's not your honors, it's not your playing time. You're going to be remembered based on what kind of teammate you were. Okay. And I want to be around elite teammates. And I'm telling you, Andrew Miller is an elite teammate. I'm talking about a guy that, this guy is almost over 2,000 yards, averaging 8 yards a carry, 27 touchdowns. And he didn't start for us last year, right? He didn't start for us. And that was never, ever an issue. When I offered Andrew, this defines who he is. I brought him in my office and I said, Andrew, I want you to know that it's going to be really small in the beginning as far as your scholarship goes, but I want you here. We have a scholarship for you to come be a bison, and I want you to think about it and pray about it. And he said, Coach, I'm in. I said, come again. He said, I'm committed. I said, just like that. You haven't even heard the money, which is that's a pretty bad business model. But he said, Coach, if the Bisons want me, if they've got a spot for me, I'm committed, and nobody in the country could offer me and make me change my mind. Okay, that's who he's been, and he has been that loyal guy the entire time he's here. He is an incredible teammate. He cares so much about the way he's viewed, about being selfless, about having a grateful spirit. He is dying to please. Just such a special guy.
All right. Next up, E. Taylor with your questions for Coach Simmons.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing, brother?
E. Taylor, what's up, Eric?
I don't know it, man. I don't know it. Just real quick, man. We talk all year long about, about this senior group, man, and I don't want to get you emotional when I speak about this, but how these guys have what all they've done since they've been there, man. But two guys in particular, and again, we've talked all year about these two, Cole Keelan and Clark Griffin, man, and what they mean to this program. And these are two guys that have done a lot. Just talk a little bit about what they mean, not only to you, but just Harding in general.
Um, Probably I would say that one of the most unique things is both of these guys are going to leave a legacy that it's will last forever. And they actually, and both of them, we talk about wins, career wins by a starting quarterback. It's kind of like how you talk about career wins by a starting pitcher, but you don't talk about career wins by a starting shortstop, right? And this is the same thing. Cole he's got 51 wins as a career starter, has started every game of his career, and so has Clark. He has started every game of his career. And what's amazing, Clark leads. He's the all-time leader here in career tackles for loss. But also, which is unheard of, is that he has led our team in tackles almost every game, not every season, but almost every game for his entire career. And the other thing about both of these guys is basically nobody wanted them. Nobody recruited these guys. Nobody believed that what they did in high school, which for both of them was really elite, nobody believed that it could translate to college. And I don't know if any of us could sit here and say we had any idea that either one of their careers would go this way. For Clark, if you watch his high school film, and we did offer him, I think we were the only one that offered him a scholarship out of high school. He as a high school player was such an unbelievable tackler. His savvy was amazing. He was the Alabama 7A Player of the Year. But even when I talked to his high school coach, who's a special guy, I'm like, Coach, is there a chance that what he does can translate? Is there a chance that his stature, how is he going to get off a block? I know he's got elite feel. I know he's got an elite chip on his shoulder. I know he's got an elite savvy and is a playmaker. But at the end of the day, you got to get off a block. How can this translate to what we do? And he said, Coach, I just, man, I don't know. I don't know. He's a special kid. There's no doubt he is an elite playmaker, but I don't know if he can get off a block on that level. And, what he has done, it doesn't make any sense, okay? Because he just, the way he avoids blockers and finds a way. And I'm going to say this, a lot of guys would say about a certain guy, Coach, if that guy was 6'3", he'd be in the NFL. Well, I believe this. If he was 6 foot tall, he'd be in an NFL camp. He is that elite of a guy. And then you go to Cole Keelan, what's his elite skill? What's his elite skill? Is it speed? Is it accuracy throwing the ball? What his elite skill is winning. His elite skill is warrior spirit and care factor. I don't know if I've ever coached a guy that cared more about not letting his teammates down. He can't stand the thought of not coming through for the guys around him, and it's never been about him. This guy was not even voted first team all conference in the GAC, which I think that's embarrassing to me that our league coaches would not say a guy who's done what he did is worthy of being first team all conference, because I think he would be on the very short list of candidates to be the national MVP as far as what he means to his football team. I can't say enough about both of them and what they have done here and the legacy they'll leave here. They're both, we need to have an emergency vote. We really do. We need to have an emergency vote, and we need to take the last 6 years of Harding football and what those guys have done and achieved, and we need to put 10 guys right into the Hall of Fame here at Harding, and those two guys would be no doubt guys, and it's because of their impact on this team. When Clark, we thought he was done, and moving on, and we spent about a month in limbo, and then kind of started hearing whisperings, maybe he's considering coming back, and we all thought, oh, there's no way, because he graduated and was moving on with his life, but finally he said, Coach, I don't want to end my career with the taste that I had leaving Ferris State. I don't want to finish that way, and I want to come back. And that was a massive lift to our defense and to our team, and so we got a bunch of special guys. I mean, a bunch of special seniors, really special seniors, but those guys are special for sure.
All right. Next up with the question from the Arkansas Sports Network.
Hey, Coach. Brad Caldwell with Arkansas Sports Network. I just wanted to ask you, how has this journey been different versus the 2023 journey?
Well, there's always tons of differences. Maybe the biggest one is, the expectations that came into this season. I mean, I can't tell you how many people throughout the season have said things like, Coach, I'm really busy. My life's busy, so I'm not going to come to homecoming because I'm just going to come to McKinney instead. Right? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like there has been this assumption among fans that we're going to be in McKinney, and I'm like, guys, do you have any idea how hard it is? I mean, it is so hard to get there. And I just remember going to bed last Friday night in Pennsylvania with the thought of how insane it is that if somehow we don't get a win tomorrow and we end our season as 14-1 region champs, there'll be some people that will say to me, Coach, you still had a pretty good season, even though you didn't get to McKinney. It's good, and we have wonderful love from our fans, but the expectations placed on this group have really been ridiculous and have been heavy. And I'm so thankful that nobody will be able to say to me, Coach, but in reality, I do expect somebody, if it doesn't go our way, and we go 15-1, I think people will still say to me, Coach, you still had a pretty good season at church on Sunday morning. And so that probably is the biggest difference, is just the weight of that. And I've tried so hard to not let my guys fall into that or buy into that, because I want them to enjoy every win, because it's hard to win, and it's hard to win. It's hard to win in our conference. It's brutally hard to win in the playoffs. And all of us as coaches, the biggest curse is to the pain of one defeat feeling heavier than the enjoyment of 10 wins. Right? When we win, we're just on to the next thing. But when we lose, it's like our soul gets ripped out. And I don't want to be that way. I don't want our coaches to be that way. And all the time, I'm like, guys, we have got to help our guys enjoy every win and not be about the next thing. Let's let these guys enjoy winning, because it's too hard, and they've invested too much to feel like failures if we go 12-1 or 10-2. So that's the biggest thing. There's been a lot of weight.
Coach, what do you attribute your jump to? You guys have been successful, obviously, but what is it about the last 3 years that have just been maybe just a little bit better than the years before?
Well, I'll tell you the thing about Harding football that probably sets us apart, and there's several things, but I want you to think about this. What happens on every level when somebody wins a state championship or a college championship? I mean, 2 years ago, Michigan won the national championship. Well, what happens next? Well, the head coach takes a pro job. Both DCs are gone. Everybody uses that as a trampoline to go to the next thing. And even on our level, in Division II, take last year's national championship game. Ferris won that championship game, and then a bunch of their players transferred to the transfer portal. The opposing head coach announces in the post-game press conference that he's taking another job. Everybody uses that as a stepping stone, and it's so unique that hasn't happened here. We have the same staff basically that we've had for the last 8 years, and the loyalty from our staff it's unprecedented in college football, and even from our players. I mean, we've lost two players, two starters in history have left here in the transfer portal, and it's not because guys couldn't go. It's because of the loyalty that is created and the way we invest in our kids, the way we love on our kids, the way they buy into. I'm going to turn down short-term NIL money. I'm going to trade that for how I see this impact, this program changing my life forever. Right, the kind of father and husband and the opportunities that I have. I'm gonna turn down short-term money for a long-term impact of the kind of guy that I am. And I would say that, and then I would also say that as we have won, the more we win, the more picky we can be with who we recruit. Right, we really do. We're able to get the very best talent in the country, but also the very best young men, the most accountable, the tough-minded, the leaders, the warriors, and we're just having so many guys saying, "Coach, I've got 4 FCS offers, but if I could be at Harding in that culture, surrounded by those kind of men, coached at a place where going to heaven is more important than going to the national championship game. If you'll have me, I want to be there." And so we've been able to just have a crazy high standard for the character, integrity, work ethic, selflessness of the guys that we bring in here. So winning leads to more winning. Specialness leads to more specialness. And so I would say those two things: coaching, retention, and then raising the bar on the kind of guys that we are able to bring in here.
All right, Coach Simmons, appreciate it. Great testimony to you and your program. We really look forward to seeing you again Saturday in McKinney. Hey, 2 years ago, 2023, great crowd. We're looking forward to the loyalty of your fans, even the ones who didn't come to homecoming, that they'll be there in McKinney on Saturday. Looking forward to a great game. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, that concludes our virtual kickoff press conference with Harding, and a recording of today's press conference will be placed on the Media Hub in the Press Center folder. A link to the hub was sent out earlier today. If you didn't receive it or have questions, please contact Phil Pierce at the NCAA. Thank you. Good luck to both teams on Saturday. We'll see you at 3 o'clock, Texas kickoff at McKinney ISD Stadium. See you then. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Somebody